All right, it's just 6:01. Why don't we get started? Welcome everybody to the Finance Committee meeting of April 25th, 2022. In attendance, we've got Michael Bennett, Cheryl Zarella-Burke, Todd Dargy, John Smalling, and several other members of the public. Why don't we start the agenda with first acceptance of 2 rounds of minutes. Could I get a motion to accept the minutes of April 4th, 2022?
So moved.
Second?
I'll second.
Okay, and a roll call vote. Michael?
Yes.
Cheryl?
Yes.
Todd?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
And myself is a yes. So great. Thank you for that. Second on the agenda is to a motion, please, to accept the minutes of April 11th.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, and a roll call vote on those. Michael?
Yes.
Cheryl?
Yes.
Todd?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
And myself is a yes. And a special thank you to Linda, because those minutes are just enormous. So I know it may have been hard for all of us to read them, but it was even harder for Linda to create them. So thank you for that. Let's see, next on the agenda, we have a reserve fund transfer request from the Board of Selectmen for the legal account for $20,000. We've included in the minutes the current litigation docket for the town, which to me, as a first-year Finance Committee member, seems substantial for a town of our size. But I don't see any option that we have, given that this is our legal docket. I see that Ashley is here. Maybe you could lend some color to this for us, Ashley.
Hi, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes, thank you.
Sorry, I'm going in between softball pictures and FinCom and a meeting at 7, so I'm in the car. But yeah, so obviously it's pretty substantial. That's all the cases that we've had this fiscal year to date. Something worth mentioning, though, which I think is also important, is we also didn't really foresee not having a town administrator. And I think going through a lot of the legal bills I was going through this past week and kind of cramming away at some things, we're using counsel for a lot of things that maybe our town administrator may or may not have done previously,
Yes.
which is also putting our legal bill up a little bit until we get an acting TA, or a permanent, I should say, permanent TA. So I did notice that as well, that we definitely had some bills that a town administrator would have normally handled. But somebody has to do it right now. And unfortunately, it's legal because we want to do it right. We want to make sure we're doing it properly for the town. So
the interim town administrator is not in a position to handle, I presume, sort of these tax abatement cases and the things that aren't official lawsuits perhaps could have been handled by the town administrator, so that might shrink the bill once we have one in place?
Yeah, so we have a lot of like general matters and things that Charlie was really great at in helping with, you know, grants and how we word things and policies and just making sure we're doing things properly, that we don't have him for anymore. Also, another thing to think about too is where this year we have a lot of HCAs. So we have the 2 of them that are approved. We had a couple more that had to come through legal to put these businesses in our town. Does involve legal fees as well to make sure that we're doing our proper. So there's a lot of stuff that came up this year. On top of, yes, we had a very extensive list of litigation and unfortunate events that hopefully we're going to hash out and not be in this situation again next year. Yeah. But that being said, I don't want to leave the town without funding to defend themselves or without the funding to be able to get the help we need on things like the HCAs to bring businesses in town, or leave us waiting for a town administrator to hold off on things and then jam the town administrator up when he or her get here. So we're just asking for this to be able to continue to fund really the most recent legal bill, and hopes that you guys will agree to it.
Yeah. So this is just the most recent legal bill. Do we have any sense of whether there's another RFT right around the corner, or kind of how
So when
long
I
do you
spoke
think this will
to
help us?
Sandy, I think Sandy's on
Yeah,
too, but when I
I'm on.
spoke
She is,
to
yes.
Sandy, yeah, she said that she thinks this should be able to get us through. Correct, Sandy?
So I believe this will pay for March's bill. Come May 1st, we're able to transfer money from different line items, do line item transfers. Basically, the reserve fund wouldn't be able to fund the legal budget to the end of the year, the way it's going with the average monthly bill. We expect a pretty substantial one because of town meeting coming up. So what I advised was, let's do a reserve fund transfer, get March paid. Come May 1st, we'll start looking at the accounts that maybe have money in them that we can use towards the legal account, so that we wouldn't be just draining that reserve fund in case there are other accounts that need the reserve fund. I mean, we may be back, but for now, I thought that was the best way to go.
Well, and Sandy, you said that even our town administrator line may have a
Yes.
significant amount of money left in it. So it would almost
Right.
make sense
So
come
our
the time to use that, because
Right, our
we've been using
interim
council
town
for town
administrator.
administrator stuff.
Yeah, the interim town administrator is only working 2 to 3 days a week. So we will
Okay.
have money left over in that account. I think that we might be able to get at least 1 month's worth of bill out of that.
Okay. So we got turnover gain that we could pick up there, some other line items that would get us through. And Ashley, obviously, we agree with you. We can't leave the town without solid defense on the outstanding litigation. And it sounds like, thank you, because you've elaborated on things that aren't just litigation, but that we're relying on counsel for. So could I ask the committee, before we put this to a vote, any questions or comments that you want to add?
Yeah,
Okay, yeah, go ahead, Todd.
Sorry, Sandy, what's the amount of or maybe Ashley, the amount of the actual March bill that's due, or do we have that number, or?
The March bill is just over 19,000.
Okay,
We have approximately 4,000 in the account right now. So we have a couple of other attorneys that we are paying their minor bills. So you didn't want to empty the account. So that's why I suggested 20,000.
okay, yeah, no, makes sense.
All right.
And I guess just kind of like the obvious question here, I guess I'm looking at the litigation list, and it seems like, well, 4 out of the 6 are related to Board of Selectmen, I guess. So and I don't know, like, are these litigations, I guess, like public information, or this is all private, I guess, or?
I'll look now.
Well, hold on.
As far as
So wait a second. So just to be clear, those 4 out of 6 lawsuits that has nothing to do with the Board of Selectmen. That's a person who happens to be a selectman who is in litigation with the town.
Understood.
So I just want to be clear that that's not a selectman board. Our board, I have nothing to do with those lawsuits.
Right.
Right. So I want to be clear about that. But if Sandy, are we allowed? All right, so we can't talk about it tonight because we would need an executive session. But are we allowed to give the numbers of the breakdown to the FinCom on each case? Because even though there are 4 cases with that particular person in it, I think you guys would be surprised on how much money is actually being spent there compared to some of those other litigations.
In the sense that it's high or low, I guess.
Lower.
I think, right. So you just mean how much are we spending? How much are we paying the attorney for those? I haven't done that.
I have a pretty good breakdown that I got from Irma.
Right. So one of the reasons those ones have been ongoing for a couple of years. So there is less money being spent on them at this point.
Right, but we're talking about this fiscal year right now and why we're so high.
Right.
So
Yeah.
I've only been on the board for this year. I can only speak for this moment at this time. And I'm not even going to give my opinion on all of that. But the point is Todd, if I'm allowed to, I can sit and talk with Todd and go over the cost
Yeah,
of it all.
I
And
don't know if that's public information
Yeah,
or.
yeah,
or
that's not.
So,
That's not.
Yeah.
So what I was just, we're not taking a position on, first, the right of a private citizen to bring litigation against the town. I mean, that's completely, as you point out, Ashley, that's a completely different thing from the board. And so we're just trying to get a handle on kind of where all of the expenses are. So I asked for the docket, which is here, and you've illuminated two other places where we're spending money on council right now. So I think that's probably all of the data that we should share in this session, without going to executive.
our legal bills are public record. You're not
Yeah.
going to get the in-depth breakdown. So
Yeah, I
if you
guess-
want to, I can show you at least the breakdown of each case and how much it costs. You won't get the details on it, but that's public record. Anybody can get that.
Sure. Any other questions? All right. Could I ask for a motion to approve a reserve fund transfer to our law account pending litigation line
So moved.
in the amount of $20,000? Second?
Second.
Okay, roll call vote. Michael,
Yes.
Cheryl,
Yes.
Todd,
Yes.
John,
Yes.
and myself as a yes. Thank you for pulling the numbers together, and thanks, Ashley, for explaining some of this to us. So that passes.
Thank you. I appreciate you guys. And if there's any other questions you have, feel free to email me or reach out. I'd be happy to talk with you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Next up is our favorite topic, the budget and general discussions on the budget. I will start with, I presume everyone got in the mail this weekend, the articles, all 56
yes, we
of them
did.
or whatever.
Yeah.
So I think we have a lot of reading to do between now and next week's meeting, but I won't ask if everyone has sort of gotten through them. I certainly have not gotten through all of the articles. We have a number of articles that we have deferred. We've deferred taking a recommendation on until the meeting. Is there anything new, Sandy, that we should know now that's developed on any of those that would be helpful to the committee now for understanding what those are later?
Not that I can think of. Some of them, like the zoning articles, I don't know that you have to, the marijuana articles. I don't know that the finance committee needs an official recommendation on those. You can if you want to, or you could just say we don't have a combined recommendation. So,
Cheryl?
I noticed that we do have a dispensary on 106 in Halifax. Is that
Yep.
functioning or it's just there?
It's open.
it's open, yeah. Is it open?
I think I've seen cars there that would suggest that they're not vendors or contractors, they're customers.
So, are we collecting anything from this?
We will be. So we get part of the sales tax, but
Okay.
we don't have it yet.
Okay.
And there is a host agreement, but I don't have that information.
Okay. So that could go into our the general fund. Is that correct? Or
The sales tax, yes, it's like the local options meals tax, which we
okay.
put in as a local receipt, and it helps to offset the taxes.
So that could help offset some of what we're going to have to be spending
Right.
this year. Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yeah, they haven't been open a 1 quarter yet, so I suspect they haven't filed a sales tax
Right,
revenue
so-
report or any of that yet.
Right. This year's taxes will probably not be affected by it just because we have nothing to go on as far as an estimate of what we would
Right.
receive from them. But the next year, as we go forward, we'll have an idea of what we'll be receiving. And then we will use that as part of our estimate of local receipts.
Okay.
Their website implies they haven't opened yet. It just says coming spring of 2022.
Oh, wow. Okay, my bad then. Sorry about that.
No, you could be right too. They just haven't updated it maybe.
I'm at Morgan's all the time, which is where I see all the traffic going in and out of there. So just curious. I would ask if next week we'll run through the ones where we have not made a recommendation yet and see whether the committee has a view on those. I think, the marijuana change provision as an example, I think that's a good one for us to debate on whether we're going to change the bylaws or whether we're going to have a sort of a steady state. These are the rules that we established at the outset, and whether, because every year someone comes and wants a change to those bylaws. It generated, as Cheryl, as you recall, generated lots of discussion last year.
It did.
And I think it's, having a stable point of view on what the rules are for cannabis in town is probably something that will have financial implications, because we're supposed to be setting a business climate, and so maybe next week we kind of debate that, see where we want to come out on that one, and the others for which we don't have recommendations yet, but we may have perspectives. I'm not sure that as a group we spoke about them all. Sandy, I wanted to ask, and maybe get the committees to opine on this one. I know that we've said we're not going to take a position on the number of Board of Selectmen that we have.
Mm-hmm.
But I'd love to hear the committee's view on this one. I have been thinking about this a lot, and running this town is getting more and more complicated, and the financial creativity that's going to need to go into getting us through the next couple of years, just it feels to me like maybe we need a bigger collective brain on the Board of Selectmen. So it does have a financial implication for us. I mean, we have a 3-person board, and I frankly, I see things just sort of backing up in terms of things just not, maybe when we get a new town administrator, that will change. But I'm wondering if the committee has other perspectives on that. It's not a lot of money to have additional Board of Selectmen, because I don't get paid that much, but it just seems like with 3, we're not getting all the horsepower that, and no offense to them, they're hardworking, but it just seems like that running a town gets more complicated every day.
I would agree with you, Tom, on that one. I think the cost of the extra members would be worth it in the long run. Like I said, we're not talking big money.
Yeah. Other views on this one? I think it's too late for us to even weigh in, but if we're asked at town, I'd love to, if just have a view on what the committee thinks on this one. Cheryl?
And it would be nice if we could have different views.
Oh, for sure. And I won't present, we'll always present it as even on something that we voted on already. If there are things like, we know, Cheryl, you've taken a different position on I think a couple of the things that we recommended, and I'll make sure if we get asked that we represent it that way, that it doesn't have to be a unanimous view from the committee by any stretch.
Right, but also as far as selectmen, if we were going to raise it to 5, it would be nice to have some diversity on there. And you have to think that presently you only have 2 members. Troy retired.
Yeah.
Right.
So there's only 2.
Is that accurate? I thought we were still at 3. We have Ashley, Gordon.
No, 2.
Just 2.
We only have
okay.
2.
Okay. Then I didn't realize that Troy retired. Okay. Yes. And the diverse perspectives is up to the voters, of course, but I would agree. If we got more there, we'd get more diversity just by the nature of it. And I've noticed, hearteningly, there's a number of sort of rookies running that,
I saw that.
That would add some new ideas to the thing. John, have you? Todd, Michael, you got a view on this?
I agree exactly with what John and Cheryl stated. I don't see any harm with increasing the members. I think it's a, no-brainer. And then, adding to the diversity of the team, I think would be well. So,
okay, Michael.
I kind of look at it as why would we need 5, and what's causing the backup of process with the selectmen, and it's all the recusals from different meetings and things and different votes, different issues. That's what's slowing us down.
I
think we could function just fine with 3. I don't see the problem there. It's just that given the situations of all things given and what committees they belong to, and they've been voted on other committees as well, or elected to other committees, I should say. And some of these things slow the process down.
They do.
They do. That's where I'm thinking. You get the quorum quicker. Like I know we have a vacancy, and that puts me always at counting very carefully who's on the screen every Monday night to make sure we have quorum. Where if we had all of our vacancies filled, we would, we'd be less worried. People are so busy that they have a, I appreciate the dedication of this committee. We're here every week, and there's not a lot of room to maneuver when we're this short of and close to quorum. Okay, I mean, we've already taken.
I would work from a financial standpoint. I guess it just goes back into the fund. But so say we have a 5-member board, but you don't get 5 people willing to serve. With it, we just budget for that, and then it just gets, put back into the fund, or.
Yes. Yep.
Oh, you mean if we have a vacancy? Yes, John. That's the way it would work.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, because that crossed my mind. Would on all terms would you even get 5 people to sign up for it?
Right. Sandy, given where we are, I know that when would if a 5-member board proposal passes, and we've already taken that, we've got no recommendation on that, but it's still going to be an article that's voted on. If it passes, will that mean that we'll have a larger one in the May election, or does that open seats for the May election or for the following year?
No, because it would be for the following year, I believe. Yeah. So because when you take out papers, you have to say what position you're running for. And right now we had a 3-year position and a 1-year position open.
Okay.
So the candidates who are running now, some are running for the 3-year position, some are running for the 1-year position. So you wouldn't be able to just backfill. Oh, the next highest person would get that position. So it would have to be another election. So
not a special, it'd be another year.
That I'm not sure of. Okay. So I don't know if you are aware, but we have our treasurer collector did get a new job. She is over at East Bridgewater with Charlie. But that position is an elected position, which I still hold firm that should be an appointed position. But right now it is an elected position. And I know the selectmen have talked about a special election. They talked about doing one as early as July. I don't know that if that passes at the May town meeting, if they would be able to put those positions on, or if it would have to first go to the attorney generals.
Right. And then the next year.
And then would have to go the next year. I'm not sure how that would run. So it would either, and truthfully, I think that the special election, rather than doing one in July all by itself, I would try to combine it with either the primary or the November election.
Right.
But I'm not sure which way the selectmen are going.
Okay. Thank you for that. Barbara, you had your hands up. You're on mute, though. Does anyone have their hand up? I see Barbara on the screen with her hand up. Oh, we'll move on. I guess not. Is there anything else about the budget that anyone wants to raise, or Sandy, that we should know?
Yes. So if you had looked at the budget on the OneDrive, you would see that the amount put aside for abatements and exemptions, the overlay, has gone up. I was estimating it at 165,000. It has gone up to 200,000. So the new attorney has suggested that we settle some of the cases, the ATB cases that the assessor has been fighting, one with Walmart, one with a solar group.
Yeah.
So if we settle those cases, we will be using the allowance for abatement and exemption. Right now, we have a little extra in there to hold us over, but if we settle those cases, the assessor's board would like to up the allowance for abatement and exemption to 200,000 to help us cover those, any settlement that we might have to do over the next year.
So how do we enact that?
So I've already put it in your spreadsheet. What it does, it
Okay.
lowers the amount that we are below the levy limit.
Right.
So right now, we're down to about, what was it? I think about 100. If the unions negotiate a settlement, and if you decide to recommend an increase for the wage of personnel employees, it will probably come down to about 75,000 below the levy limit.
75, just so we're clear, that's not the down, that is 75 versus 300 last, correct?
Yes, we weren't
Okay.
quite 300 last year. I think we were about 250, but yes.
Okay, thank you. All right.
Yep.
Hi, Tom, excuse me, it's Barbara.
Yeah, Barbara.
Hi, I was able to unmute.
Oh,
I
okay.
do have a question going back to the 5-person Board of Selectmen. I understand they get the stipend, but I'm just curious, are they offered insurance through the town?
I don't know.
Yes,
Sandy?
all
they
elected
are.
officials are entitled to insurance, regardless of the number of hours they work.
So it's medical?
Yes.
Medical. Okay, thanks.
That's what I thought. So the comment that it's not going to cost the town a lot of money other than just the stipend
It's gonna cost.
isn't
That's a good
accurate.
point.
It's going to
Yeah,
cost
it's a good
quite a
point.
bit more.
Yeah.
Because with the town pays 50%. So, and then it's a family plan or a single plan. And so it would be quite expensive to the town as far as that
Yeah.
goes. Just
Yeah.
a thought.
All right.
No, it's helpful. Thank you, because it
Right.
does cost more. I think at the end of the day, we have to make the judgment about whether it's that or
Prudent.
running a $26 million town budget, whether we need to have more
We
brain
don't.
power behind that. And but yeah, that's a great point. Thank you. That far outweighs the stipend itself.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Thanks. Anything else on budget?
Right about.
Okay. Few other members of the public. Any other any correspondence or public participation, Linda?
There was no correspondence.
Okay. Committee, anything else that you want to cover this evening?
Do we have to come in and sign the reserve fund transfer?
I actually have 2 reserve fund transfers. So this one, and then the last one you did to demolish the one on Montponsa Street. Mike Bennett's the only one that has signed that.
Okay.
So I can send them out again, an email tomorrow, or you can stop by the office and sign
I'll
them.
stop by the office.
I'll stop by.
Yeah.
That would be
Okay.
great. Thank you.
I need to get at least 4 signatures on both of them.
Okay.
Okay, on it. Anyone who can stop by, I will.
If it's possible to email, I could definitely turn around tomorrow. I don't know if I'd be able to get to the office tomorrow.
Yep, I'll email it out tomorrow for sure, and then I'll take, whatever works out. Either way, I'll get the 4 signatures on there.
Right.
Okay.
Hopefully.
Thanks, Linda. Committee, anything else? Okay, can I get a motion to adjourn?
So moved?
Second.
Second? Okay, on a roll call vote. Michael?
Yes.
Cheryl?
Yes.
Todd?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
I get myself. Tom is a yes. Thank you, everyone. The meeting is adjourned. Next week, we'll try and cover the articles. Happy reading and see if there's any additional data that we have just prior to the meeting. So have a good evening, everyone.
You too.
You too, Tom. Thank you.
Okay.